Hey there gamers, DreamcastGuy here, and today we're talking about Dragon Age Veilguard because Electronic Arts just released a big financial report admitting that the game completely bombed. They expected it to sell about 3 million copies, it sold about 1.5 million. Now I want to talk about this because to me it's not just a Dragon Age problem, it's not just an Electronic Arts problem. In my opinion, this is starting to show the fact that the industry has cracks showing. And I think the collapse is going to be brutal, but let's talk. Hi, hope you're having a great day, and if you could, please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Now, I want to begin with just the raw facts, the numbers, the digits, but specifically sort of the reactions to this, because people up and down the ladder, the top journalists, random people, fans, people seem to be shocked by this failure specifically. I will admit the fact that they expected this to sell about 3 million, to me, as a person that didn't buy it, that didn't play it, that honestly didn't find it to be very interesting, I thought all the trailers and stuff were bad, I thought 3 million, that's a sales metric that to me seemed reasonable. I mean, what is there? 70 million PS5s, there's 30 million Xboxes, there's hundreds of millions of PC gamers, selling about 3 million copies of the next entry of like a big AAA release. That doesn't seem too impossible. The fact that they couldn't even hit 2 million sales, I think it's a sign of just how much people are not ready for these kind of games. By what I mean is that the idea of just trying to revive old franchises. It's been a decade since the last Dragon Age came out, and I enjoyed that, but trying to change the genre, the tone, the characters, the writing style, the art, nobody that liked the older games is going to buy it if it doesn't even look like Dragon Age, right? But what I find interesting is that a lot of people are like, okay, even as the people that played it, a lot of people are like, okay, it had a lot of writing issues, it had a lot of plot issues and stuff, but even though it wasn't a true RPG, it's better than people give it credit for. I think I find it interesting that this game got an 82 on Metacritic. It obviously is getting review bombed because people didn't like a lot of aspects of it, but I almost feel like we're really beginning to see that big budget fatigue. And what I mean by that is that I do feel like companies in a way are trying to pay to win. They're trying to just say, okay, if we spend $200 million and bring back old characters or old titles and just revive it and dump tons of cash into it, these suckers will definitely buy it. But I feel like people are beginning to get a better eye for lack of passion. And what I mean is that I had friends that played this. I had friends that were die-hard, super obsessed Dragon Age fans that people played each of the first 3 games at launch multiple times, customizing characters, trying different good and evil paths, trying to figure out all the different backstories and clues and hints, playing the DLC, reading the books. And basically what I heard is that this is fine. And I gotta be honest that in this day and age, I feel like this is fine is not good enough. Games are getting so expensive, $70 for an RPG, I want it to be more than fine, and especially a lot of people that love Dragon Age, if you are actually there, holding that hope, burning that torch, going, okay, the next game better be great, and it comes out and it's just fine, well, fine spreads. Fine is word of mouth. Fine, in my opinion, can lead to stuff like this. I think this is what fine brings. People going, okay, I can't believe that the best we're going to get is fine after 10 years. But I did find it interesting that a lot of journalists are like, wow, I completely expected this to sell more. I figured it'd at least break even. Wow. Besides Dragon Age, it feels like AAA story sequels are struggling this gen in terms of sales or meeting expectations. Baldur's Gate 3 was not marketed as a continuation of past games. That was the one exception. What do you guys think? Now, I want to refresh this right now and fresh with you guys react to some of this because I love Gene Park a lot. I want to see what his thoughts are. God of War Ragnarok, the God of War reboot being a good exception, Spider-Man 2. So those are doing all right, but it does feel like Tears of the Kingdom. It does feel like there are games that manage to get an audience, games that manage to be successful, games that manage to build up hype. But I do feel like the big trap that the industry keeps repeating is assuming success. Okay, we'll just spend infinite money on this and the fans will pay it back. Okay, we'll market the hell out of it and somebody will show up, and that's not working. In fact, I'd say that's not working in Hollywood. We're seeing, well, obviously Disney movies kind of suck now, but back in the day, Marvel used to be great, and now Marvel movies are all kind of bombing and stuff like that. You used to just be able to market, and to some degree, it would pay off. I almost feel like I keep thinking about Atlas and Vanillaware, right? They've been making the Persona games. They did all the great stuff like Metaphora Fantazio, Unicorn Overlord. They have been just making stuff up. Games that are still pretty high budget, but also they're not trying to be the biggest thing ever. Unicorn Overlord, I think, only sold a couple 100,000 copies, but it didn't have to sell 3 million copies to break even. And in my opinion, this game is fantastic. It's quirky, it's weird, it's got a cool art style, it's got a unique style of combat. And I think the same thing about Metaphora Fantazio. The fact that it's basically Lord of the Rings Persona with classical mythology and different characters and exploration of lands and different concepts and stuff. Those games, in my opinion, don't just feel more video gamey, but they're a contained budget. It's a fresh idea. I almost feel like we're hitting video game fatigue, where people are getting tired of sequel, DLC, annual releases with stuff like Call of Duty or FIFA or whatever. I think we're hitting this point where people crave new ideas. Even if they're not the most game-breaking, even if they're not that innovative, just something new, right? Maybe I'm completely off base here, but I do feel like when I see a title I have not seen before, if I see something that is completely new, even if it is copying something else, even if it's like an indie style of Dark Souls, I sit up, I pay attention. I'm like, okay, I want to see somebody completely building a new universe that may be evocative or make nods and homages to other stuff, but I want something different. I want something better. I do not just want another bland sequel that's clearly being made by corporate America. The failure of Dragon Age to me is surprising, because I do think it's showing two separate things once. I do think it's showing the fact that people are tired of crappy sequels 10 years after the fact that don't really matter, that aren't really connected, that don't really have any tie to the original game. But I also do feel like it's showing the fact that a lot of these over-budget 7 out of 10s, I think they're going to keep crashing and burning. And I'm not sure these executives are ever going to learn the lesson that quality is always going to crush quantity. But these are just been some off-the-cuff thoughts. How do you feel about this? And I'm serious. I do feel like that EA is going to take a bad, long look in the mirror and kind of figure out, oh yeah, that doesn't just work. We can't just force the magic to happen. What do you guys think, though? I'll be honest, I still have not played Dragon Age Veilguard. I got a feeling it's going to be like 15 or 20 bucks soon. Maybe it already is. I kind of want to buy it for that much. It seems like the kind of game where I can blast through it, I can have a good time, I can enjoy some of the side characters, but if it sucks, I just feel like $70 suck to me is very different from $20 suck. But these have just been some off-the-cuff thoughts. What do you guys think about this? Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and please keep dreaming. And also, play Unicorn Overlord. And definitely Metaphor. God, I love Metaphor. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.